Hello everyone, welcome to round one of Bath & Body Works White Barn Candle Company's 2013 autumn line of candles, which includes 4 distinct collections. You see here 18 different candles. Across the 4 lines there are half confirmed, half rumored to be a total of 45 scents across the different collections. A lot of returning favorites, a lot of new scents, a lot of those are repackaged or renamed scents from failed test scents over the past year or two, and of course some newness, as we like to say, some brand new things for you. So you see here, this was my first purchase from a test store. Some of these seem to be popping up in some regular stores across the country as well, and the internet, bathandbodyworks.com ordering. So definitely keep checking their site for new releases as they become available. We've got some information as far as other candles that may be coming or that are slowly trickling into test stores, as well as which ones may or may not be test scents. Of course, with Bath & Body Works White Barn, everything is subject to change. Something might be slated for a test one day and then it gets the axe, or something was supposed to be a test scent all along and then they, sort of seemingly on a whim decide to release it wide. So this is all very much subject to change. But I'd like to give a let's not say in-depth review just because there's so many to go through and I don't want to have you sitting here forever. I will do more in-depth reviews on many of these as we get further along in the season. But I do want to give you some quick comparisons. Many of these, the new ones, smell similar to or are full-on repackages, in my opinion, of past fragrances that you may or may not know as test scents from the past year. But if you watch my videos, you've probably seen most of those. So, just starting with some of the info here. So again, we've got these 4 collections. I'll also tell you which candles are also included in these collections that I did not yet purchase, mostly for ones that are returning favorites that I just don't need at this point, or I wasn't excited to buy. So let's get started. First, the big one that seems to be coming out the soonest as far as the collections here is the Pumpkin collection. So let's roll on over here. You see I purchased Pumpkin Apple, Pumpkin Pecan Waffles, Blueberry Pumpkin Patch, Pumpkin Carrot Cake, and Pumpkin Hayride. We believe there to be 11 scents total in that collection. And in addition to the 5 you see here, there also will be pumpkin carving, sweet cinnamon pumpkin, roasted pumpkin butter, pumpkin caramel latte, pumpkin cupcake, and creamy pumpkin. Those are all returning scents, so I didn't really have a need to get any of those, at least right now. So, let's start. Sorry here, let's see. I'm trying to get closer here, we have so many to look through. Let's get a closer look at these, and I'll talk a bit again about marketing, read the descriptions, and give you a sniff. I'm hoping to keep this video under 30 minutes, but let's see what happens. So the Pumpkin collection. My overall impressions, before I get started even, is that I feel like this is very much marketing. Of course, they're candles, it's a store. There are hundreds or perhaps thousands of Bath & Body Works stores. They are, marketing 101. But with these scents, it feels very much like, due to the success of primarily Pumpkin Cupcake, I think, last year, I think they decided to go full on, an entire collection of pumpkin candles, even though these aren't necessarily pumpkin fragrances, and a few of them just straight up smell nothing like pumpkin to me, and I really don't even like them. So it seems very kind of a little bit cheap in that aspect, that they're like, well, Pumpkin Cupcake worked, let's do pumpkin everything, every kind of pumpkin bakery item you can imagine, and see what happens. But I don't think they really succeeded with a lot of that. So, without further ado, let's get in better lighting here. First up, we have Pumpkin Apple. The labels on this, I'm a stickler for labels. Not bad. Similar to last year's fall line with, the white text, this little sort of curved pumpkin name. It's okay. I suppose it's a little, autumnal, a little, homey, traditional farm kind of thing. So it works. It's not terrible. It's not great. It is what it is. The notes on this one, first up. Experience the blend of your 2 favorite fall scents, apple and pumpkin, enhanced by notes of cinnamon and clove. Now, actually, what I was going to do here, so it's at least somewhat interesting to look at, we've got this here. We'll set it on while I sniff it. It's good. It's very basic. which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You know, they've got to have some basic layering scents or just basic scents that aren't, you know, weird or have nothing strange to them. This is heavy on cinnamon. Not really cider-like apple. It's really hard. I don't really get pumpkin. I suppose there's a little bit of a creaminess, or maybe it's more of like sweet cinnamon pumpkin, which of course is primarily spices. The tiniest hint of like sort of a very basic underlying vanilla, as well as pretty much just a spicy apple. Now I've got a lot of older fall scents to sort of sniff here to compare. So for instance, I've got a spice cider, and I'd say it's a little bit similar to spice cider. Almost I would say a stronger cinnamon though with that, which is kind of surprising considering spice cider is spiced. It's good. It's kind of a dry scent. It's not really overly sweet or drippingly sweet. It's nice. It's again kind of basic, generic, but it's a good scent. Regardless of what it's named, it will definitely smell good while it's burning. So that is the first one there. Then we'll move on to a goodie here. Blueberry Pumpkin Patch. Now this, if you were watching my videos last year or following Bath & Body Works, this was a test scent last year that did not make it wide. It looked a little different, the label was different, and the wax was white last year. Now we've got a nice deep sort of grayish blue wax. And the notes read, "Blueberries fresh from the farm are the perfect match for ripe pumpkins in this delicious autumn blend." Alright. And I really like this one. I initially I bought it when it was a test scent just because I was excited to see something new. And after I burned it, I really liked it. It's sort of one of the few authentic blueberry scents that they've really ever had. Berries usually come off as, candy Jolly Rancher, really fake. I never really enjoy their strawberry scents. But this blueberry, it really works. It's kind of a dry blueberry. Not sure that you really get any pumpkin. Again, it's hard to say because pumpkin, you don't want to smell pumpkin like it comes out of a can, just pumpkin puree. That's not what people are really looking for, like sort of just that earthy gourd. But it's got something else to it that does bring it a little bit more towards fall. It's not like a bright, juicy, popping, spring summer berry. So for that, I really enjoy it. I just think it's so nice. It smells a little bit. Almost a little bakery, a little sort of like, Pop-Tart kind of thing, but whatever it is, for me it works. So, surprising, but, I like it. Then we'll move on to, this is where I start to get, not angry, but I get annoyed. Pumpkin Pecan Waffles. Alright, so I'm not a huge bakery person. Anytime they do any of the ooey gooey, drippy, gloppy stuff, it's like, a lot of people, don't get me wrong, it's hugely popular bakery scents, in the fragrance world are, number one. I don't necessarily want my home smelling like, Annie Ann's Pretzels or Mrs. Field's Bakery or something that you'd find in a suburban mall, or even a fancy bakery or something, just because it usually is not authentic. They've had some fragrances that are super authentic, but usually it's just, you don't walk in and say, oh, it smells just like whatever. No one's going to say, oh, this is pumpkin waffles, or even waffles, or pecans. So the notes on it, before I continue my rant, delight in the scrumptious scent of pumpkin pecan waffles, pure maple syrup, and a touch of brown sugar. So they're saying it is pumpkin pecan waffles, who's ever had those, maple syrup, and brown sugar. And if I sniff it, it's very lightly fragranced. I wouldn't even call this a bakery scent. It is creamy. This is something where this one showed me that they really are just going for marketing, and they're hoping people will buy into this and sort of be led in the direction of, oh, that's delicious. It's a pumpkin pecan waffle. But it's like a super generic sort of, I'd almost say the creamy nutmeg candle. When I first sniffed this, I was sure that it was a failed test scent from last fall that I've got here called Toffee Glazed Popcorn, which had completely different notes. It was, caramelized toffee, warm butter, and popcorn. It's not a full-on dupe of that, but it does smell very similar. In my initial review of the Toffee Glazed Popcorn, I think it said that it was, I think I said it was something like almond shampoo or something, just very, very creamy and generic and basic. which is what I get with the pumpkin pecan waffles. It also reminds me just a little bit of the 2011 Sleep Collections Vanilla Cinnamon, which was really just nutmeg, cinnamon, and I suppose a little bit of vanilla. Smelling that, it's got that sort of, it's warm, it's more along the lines of like, the nutmeg and spice candle that came out last fall and is returning this fall. So it's really not, I don't get maple syrup, I barely get a bakery from it, I don't really get pumpkin, it's just, it just doesn't work for me. It's not at all true to the name, the notes, or the label. So quite a disappointment in my opinion. I think it may, if someone else, someone else who's been into these for a while and is familiar with the creamy nutmeg Slack and Co scent, I would like your opinion, anyone out there who's watching, if you smelled both of these. I really think this could even just be a repackage of the creamy nutmeg candle. It's just so basic and generic. It's like you could walk into Walmart and smell something that smelled almost just like this. So big old thumbs down for me on that one. Really disappointed. But of course, the fool I am, I bought it. Next up, this is supposedly a test scent, but I would bet it will go wide based on the success of Pumpkin Cupcake. We've got Pumpkin Carrot Cake, which I don't know, I suppose that's a cake pop or something, with the icing drizzled on it. And if we can get focus, it says, fill your home with the perfect blend of spiced pumpkin, rich carrot cake, and decadent creamy frosting. Now, proof that Bath & Body Works is not the best with bakery scents. Last year's cinnamon nut bread was clearly banana nut bread. Everyone said it, everyone who sniffed it. It was actually a scent that if you smelled it, you could say what it was without knowing the name, and it was still not called that. So, -1 there to their marketing folks, but now this is so light, it's almost just kind of one of those waxy smelling candles, which is not a good thing. You don't want the candle to smell like wax. You really want to be overwhelmed almost with the true fragrance. It's sweet. Carrot cake to me is usually spiced. There should be some sort of bready bakery note to this, which I don't get much of. Certainly not a dry bakery at all. It's just sort of a little sweet, a little creamy, a tiny bit spicy, but not even like to a spice cider or to, pumpkin apple, the spice that's in there. It's very, very light. Now, comparing it to last year's Pumpkin Cupcake, which is coming back this year, but I didn't purchase. Pumpkin Cupcake actually smells a little bit more bakery to me than this. This is a little bit sweeter than that. I suppose I can almost get some of the similar base pumpkin that they use like in the Blueberry Pumpkin Patch, what they refer to as pumpkin, sort of like the pumpkin carving or pumpkin patch candles, which I love pumpkin patch and pumpkin carving. I didn't purchase because I don't really need them right now. It's got a little bit of that with just sort of an artificial sweetness. Certainly nothing that makes you say, oh, this is carrot cake or zucchini bread or any sort of like, of those sweet sort of muffin-like, bakery breads. So to me, it's a big flop. People might love it because they like the idea of it, and that's fine. People might like the color. It's not an offensive scent, but you don't smell it and say, oh, that's a fall scent, and oh, that's carrot cake, or that's pumpkin anything. So between that one and pumpkin pecan waffles, big old, in my opinion. And then the final one that, gosh, look at the lids are so tight there that they're like popping off. The final one from the pumpkin collection that I have to review today is Pumpkin Hayride. Now, I'm sorry, the lighting's a little rough there and we're shaking all over the place. I really enjoy sort of the conceptual sense, the autumn days, mountain leaves, pumpkin hayride, scents that aren't trying to be necessarily a duplicate of a food item or even an item in nature. And this on the label here, we've got, looks just like sort of, a farm, on the side of the road selling their harvest. And the notes are capture all the fun of an autumn hayride in this blend of pumpkins, caramel cider, and golden oak. So you've got sort of, the pumpkins, the caramel cider, which will give you the sweetness, and then golden oak will kind of round it out to be a little more of your, sort of nature scent. Now, smelling this, I do like this. The golden oak is definitely present. Not exactly woodsy, but boy oh boy, there is definitely something there when you sniff it that, you know, this is not a sweet scent, really, you know, by any stretch of the imagination. Now, it is in some ways quite similar to Autumn Day, also known as Acorn and Fig. Forgive me while I keep bouncing around here. I just keep going for, you know, these other candles to compare. So I've got last year's tiny bit left there of Autumn Day, which is a blend of fig, cedar, and sandalwood. And they're quite similar. Autumn Day is much stronger than this, as far as like the intense in-your-faceness of like the creaminess of the fig and the sandalwood. This doesn't have that sandalwood. It smells a little bit like, I forget which blog, it was one of the Bath & Body Works blogs. Someone mentioned that it smells like walking into a craft store or Joann Fabrics when they have sort of all of their, you know, their fake flowers and their, you know, branches and eucalyptus leaves and all that kind of thing. Like just that powdery, woody, kind of plasticky, you know, pine cone, whatever, scent that you get in the craft stores like that. It's got a hit of that, which is part of the oak, I suppose, and maybe the pumpkin. So it's sort of, it's nice though. I think burning, it'll be pretty nice. It's going to be decently strong without being overwhelming. I believe that this is a test scent as well as pumpkin carrot cake. I think those are the only two test scents from the pumpkin line. But I do like this. I think there's a place for it. I don't know that people are going to love it. It won't be a huge seller, but it's nice, and it's, I think, definitely worth a purchase. So, again, to review, I think based on the time, how we're doing here, we're at almost 17 minutes now. I think what I'll do, similar to my spring-summer collections that I did back in late December, I'm going to break this up into a couple different videos here, just because I know that you might not want to sit down and, you know, take on a 50 or 60-minute video at one time. So I'm going to wrap this up with just a review again of the pumpkins, and then certainly stay tuned. I'll put a link in the description, as well as if you're watching on your computer, there should be a clickable link here on the video to take you directly to the next video. And that one, I think we will get into the fresh picked, or perhaps the silver leaf collection. That's a little more interesting. But again, a review of the pumpkin collection. We've got pumpkin hayride, pumpkin carrot cake, blueberry pumpkin patch, pumpkin pecan waffles, and finally pumpkin apple. Also in stores will be pumpkin carving, sweet cinnamon pumpkin, roasted pumpkin butter, pumpkin caramel latte, pumpkin cupcake, and supposedly in test mode, creamy pumpkin. Again, as always, if you have questions, please hit me up, and definitely please do stay tuned for the next video looking at the Bath & Body Works Silver Leaf collection. So stay tuned.